Why do you say they did not do that about the prison cell video? I mean, I know there's a missing minute before midnight, and now there's a report out that the video itself has been, I don't want to say manipulated, which makes it sound nefarious, but that changes were made to it prior to it being released. Dan admitted on Fox and Friends that they were cleaning it up so that it was more easy to see. And that minute before midnight, I think his defenders would say, what kind of a ninja could get in and out of the cell in a minute and commit this murder? Like, if you believe that, I got a spaceship I want to sell you. But I think there are people like Julie K. Brown who say, like, her response to all that was, you're debating what happened at a Starbucks in Austin instead of talking about JFK getting shot in the head in Dallas. Her point has been that video doesn't show Epstein's cell. It shows a common area down the hallway from Epstein's cell. And we have no idea what prisoners may have had access to Epstein, what deal may have been struck with them, how easy it was for them to get to him. Even in his cell alone, if you want to argue there was that just allowing him to commit suicide was what was done as opposed to actual murder. He was given 2 mattresses when most people had 1. He was given extra linens when that was forbidden. A couple weeks after he had tried to kill himself. So there's a couple of theories abounding, but I'm curious why you think Dan didn't live up to the promise on the tape.
Well, I mean, he said both he and Patel said that we would be getting the original prison video. I mean, the exact quote from Patel was, "We're going to give the original Epstein prison video, so you don't think there were any shenanigans." I was joking with a friend of mine. I was like, one of the most endearing quality of Republicans is that they're such bad liars. The Democrats are really good at it, but this is clear misinformation. You can see in the metadata that the video was assembled from 2 source clips, saved multiple times, exported and uploaded to the Department of Justice's website. You can see this both in the Wired report, also CoffeeZilla, a really underrated podcaster, did a really incredible investigation of it. Moreover, it doesn't, as you said, it doesn't actually dispel suspicions in any way. It contradicts the previous assertion that all the inmates were in their cells by 8 p.m. Now, that was the previous assertion. The new DOJ memo says Epstein was out of his cell around 10:40 p.m., which is consistent with a distant orange image in the footage that appears near the staircase to the cell block. But what's still unexplained is why the prison guards failed to complete their mandatory rounds and inmate counts that night, and then why they falsified their statements and records by claiming they had. So there's just too many. I mean, the other thing was that we also saw this huge escalation. In 2019, the DOJ said that the Epstein indictment referred to dozens of victims. Now they say it's 1,000 victims. That's the memo that the Trump administration just put out. So there was 1,000 victims. So there's just so many missing. I mean,
and Michael, just to go back, we talked about this in hour 1. We pulled up the old DOJ documents from right around the time Epstein cut that sweetheart plea deal in 2008. And in one of the related documents in settling a civil case with the victims, the DOJ is on record as admitting he had approximately 30 victims as of 2008 from all around the country. So in 2008, it was 30. And then he cut a deal. And from 2008 to 2019, or to 2019, when he died, he amassed another 970 victims.
Obviously not, right? I mean, that was the part of the sweetheart deal was to cover up the full scale of the operation. I mean, I've heard it. There's a sort of a story going around now that this is all sort of a conspiracy theory. That we don't know. What they got. I mean, this is the Miami Herald in 2019 reported that FBI agents found a cache of thick black binders, all labeled with names that contain hundreds of naked or semi-naked photographs on CDs that Epstein stored in various places. The picture that Bondi was sort of presenting was, well, he just had some child porn that he had downloaded on his laptop. That is just absolutely contradicted by all of the court cases, by what's been reported. The intelligence community ties are amazing. I mean,
let's talk about that. So I don't think you got to listen to my discussion with Ben, but okay. Ben does not believe, from the sound of it, that he was an intelligence agent or asset, though we agreed asset is a lesser charged term than agent. But still, for my purposes, I don't care because I think the government would have an interest in protecting him under either label. And he doesn't put much stock into the reports about Alex Acasta, who was the U.S. attorney handling the case for the feds when they went after Epstein in 07, 08. Because the best thing we have against Acasta is a hearsay statement reported by Vicky Ward in the Daily Beast in 2019, in which she claimed that a Trump transition team official had told her that when they went to Acasta, when they were considering him for labor secretary, he said, like, this isn't going to come back to haunt us because Epstein was, I don't want to say
belonged to intelligence.
Yeah, I don't want to have the wrong language, but I do have it written down in front of me that he, quote, belongs to intelligence and that he is, quote, above my pay grade. I was told he was above my pay grade and that he was, that he, quote, belonged to intelligence, and it told me to move off of the case, which, I mean, frankly, I believe that. And I know many people don't, because then later Acasta gave that smarmy little on-camera statement at a 2019 presser when he was in trouble. He was about to resign because he was part of the Trump administration. Then Epstein died and all hell broke loose and he was on his heels. And now he's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't believe everything you read in the press, is essentially what he said. But then when he got interviewed by the Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility, he reportedly behind closed doors said, it's not true that I said that to the Trump transition team.
Yeah, I mean, if that were all it was, but we also have, I think you did mention to Ben, I heard the last part of it, Ari Ben-Manash, the former high-ranking Israeli intelligence officer, who
says
said that
he was his handler.
Yeah, he said he introduced Epstein to Israeli intelligence and that the higher-ups approved of Epstein, one of whom was the former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, who was also the head of Israeli military intelligence. So,
and how many times did Ehud Barak stay at Jeffrey Epstein's house?
I mean, what we report is that Epstein had planned 36 meetings with Barak I'm not sure how many of those meetings actually happened, but I mean, that's a huge number of meetings. Yeah. I mean, the former CIA director the former CIA director under Biden, Bill Burns, has already been, the Wall Street Journal reported that he had 3 unexplained meetings. So, I mean, you kind of look at it, it looks like there was a sex blackmail operation being operated on U.S. soil that the CIA knew about. I mean, I just kind of think it's important for people to remember, too, that like honeypots or sex blackmail operations, we know that the CIA used those it starts in the 1960s. According to Whitney Webb's reporting, the CIA actually got the idea for them or learned how to do them from the mafia. But, 1975, the CIA operated love traps in New York City and San Francisco where foreign diplomats were lured by prostitutes in the pay of the CIA. They used one-way mirrors to film the sexual adventures. I'm quoting from Whitney Webb's 2-volume book, One Nation Under Blackmail. So it's not like it's certainly not outlandish that was what was going on. What was going on was what it appears to have been, which was a sex blackmail operation operated by intelligence. And that's very serious, obviously, because we have a democracy that depends on the idea that we're electing people who are loyal to the citizens and not to some secret intelligence agencies.
Well, let me say this. So Ben said that he, after Naftali Bennett put out this statement today saying he was never a Mossad agent, which I have to say I credit not even a little, not even remotely. I don't believe him. I don't actively disbelieve him either, but I don't put any of what would Naftali Bennett say? What would Ehud Barak say? Of course they're going to say no. So it's like, right. Okay, fine, I get. But anyway, Ben said he reached out to Naftali Bennett's office and that they told him, for what it's worth, that they haven't conducted any sort of spying operation on U.S. soil since 1987. I also don't believe that. And what's making me uncomfortable, Michael, is that I'm just trying to lay out the facts, and I see you doing the same. Tucker's saying what his opinion is, which is not outside of the mainstream at all, that he thinks Epstein worked for Mossad or was somehow an asset to them. But this immediately, even if you're as staunch a defender of Israel in general, I haven't defended all the way they've conducted this war, but in general, their right to defend themselves after the horrific attack of 10/7. and of American Jews who are facing overwhelming discrimination on college campuses. So even if you're in my position, you get lunatics out there who accuse you of being like anti-Semitic because you are exploring this theory, which is such utter bullshit. And honestly, like, I will just say this for the record. If you think that those kind of smears are going to stop me from reporting, you haven't been paying attention to my career at all. If anything, when you accuse me of shit like that, I will double, triple, and quadruple down. It tells me that I'm onto something. Nice try, but you've chosen the wrong person. You know, and I can hear Tucker's frustration when they do this to him. He's much more controversial than I am because he's interviewing the president of Iran and things like I'm like I've been a defender of Israel. So people who say I'm not going to fuck off, they don't know me at all. I'm allowed to figure out what Jeffrey Epstein's actual connections were. And if that leads me to our government or Israel's, too bad. Your thoughts?
Well, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, but we come to the exact same conclusion. I think, first of all, we don't want any foreign intelligence we don't want any sex blackmail operations operated by intelligence. We certainly don't want any foreign intelligence, whether it's France or Germany or Israel or anybody else. I think the context is important here. I mean, I think if you're a strong defender of Israel right now, this is a difficult time. You have to remember, a majority of Americans currently have an unfavorable view of Israel, and the share of Americans with a very unfavorable view nearly doubled between 2022 and 2025. Now, among Republicans ages 18 to 49, which was that audience that you were with on Friday night at Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, 50% hold negative views of Israel, up from 35% in 2022. So I don't think that you're going to deal with that problem by trying to cancel, as you said, people that are really allies of Israel, defend the right of Israel to defend itself. My co-author, by the way, the lead author of the piece that we just published, daughter of an Israeli. Certainly Israelis have no hesitation about criticizing the Israeli government. It just appears to be a kind of, I mean, it's sad to see, because I do see some people that engage in that idea that any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. I see some of those are people that were actually very good on this issue of cancel culture and kind of the woke reign of terror over the last 12 years. So no, I absolutely share your view.
Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898 and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.